Welcome to Drop the Mask Production CIC podcast, where we talk about all things human, topics around neurodiversity, neurotypical and mental health struggles. We discuss what it's like to be in a society that either aids our struggles or rejects it. At Drop the Mask Productions, we are a community interest company with a low hierarchy, allowing everyone to literally drop their mask, whether it be a mask of neurodiversity, neurotypical or mental health. Working with trusts and other community interest companies, DT&P doesn't work to strict deadlines. The ultimate foundation of our ethos is the people and how we can accommodate humans of all form first and foremost.
Yeah, so hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not bad, yeah.
Good. Looking forward to your weekend. Ish.
I am after this now because I've just taken
Yes, just to let everybody know, it takes a while to set stuff up.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
So, tell me about you.
Where do I start? I was born in Chelmsford, in Essex, in a hospital, which I think part of it now is a block of flats, so that just gives you an idea of how old I am. And then moved from there at quite an early age. I think I was probably about 6 or 7 maybe, to a little village called Wombre in Wiltshire. Absolutely beautiful place to grow up because it was all fields and we had an amazing junior school there, and our teacher, Mrs. Adams, her name was, so God bless you, Mrs. Adams, if you're still there. She used to love to take us out to, it sounds really random actually, but it was out to a churchyard, and then we used to recognise bits of moss and that on the tombstones.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it was just really lovely. It was all about nature, and I just got such fond memories of all of that. It was lovely.
Mainstream school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mainstream.
Village mainstream.
Yeah. And then
Didn't go to a special mosque school or anything.
Not
like
a special.
that.
No, moss. Not.
Moss.
Yeah, moss.
Not a special mosque school.
And it was, I suppose, it would have been good in those days because it was green.
Yeah.
Anyway, so from there, went to school, big school, this comprehensive school, in a village called Rawton this time, still in Wiltshire. That was the Ridgeway School, big up the Ridgeway School, that's still there definitely. And then moved from there about the age of 17 to Pembroke, where I went on the good old YTS. Oh, that was amazing. And then I've just worked from there right the way through. Always been in the kind of private sector or the public sector, because that was the only two sectors I thought existed. Had no idea about the VCSE sector until I met Greg.
VCSE sector.
You're going to ask me what it stands for now,
for,
aren't you?
Yeah.
So
put you on the spot.
Voluntary social voluntary charity social enterprise. That was it.
Yeah.
VCSE. Yeah.
It's a not-for-profit, basically.
Not-for-profit. Yeah. Community interest. And I joined Drop the Mask. It would have been in 2021 as Director of Development and Support.
Development and support.
And here I am now talking to you.
And that's it. That's all we need to know, right?
But it's been a real eye-opener, I have to say. Because whereas I've been used to, is it authoritarian? Is that
authoritative?
The right? That.
Yeah. Very.
Where it's just been kind of
do this.
You're dictated to almost.
Definitely. Yeah.
some companies are better than others. I can't kind of tar every company, with that same brush, but certainly this sector is completely different, and certainly this company is completely different because, as you know, we operate on a very low hierarchy, and it's just all about the people, about making them feel comfortable, and sort of in so doing, you're getting the best out of people, because you can give people the confidence and the freedom to be creative. And I've seen some amazing pieces of work come from the people in this company.
So tell me a little bit about the role. You said you work in, your role is development.
Yeah, development and support.
Development and support,
So that it's the posh term for a general dog's body, I would say. So pretty much support people where support is needed. So if some animation needs to be done, then I turn my hand to that. I recently completed an animation for one of our clients, which I was chuffed to bits with. It was the first one that I'd done, and I really loved it. It was really good doing that.
Would you say that's self-taught then?
Yeah, pretty much.
You sort of jump in because that's something you're interested in?
Yes,
or,
yeah. Because it was really, I really enjoyed that, because it was kind of, I came up with an idea for the storyboard and then took it back to the client, and the client kind of then directed where they would like it to go, the story. So I then kind of updated that storyboard. So it was a lot of collaboration between the client and me. And then, I was given free range to create it, and just tweaked it, as and when the client decided, I love that bit, not so sure about that bit, can we do this, can we do that? And so I just changed
it's great
it.
Being able to been given that autonomy with the client to speak directly with the client as well. Yeah. Because generally, like you're saying, previous work environments, you have to go through people. There is a process, there is a procedure, you have to go through your line manager, and there's all that time wasted. Yeah. You can't have direct client relationships, can you? And you're also given like the freedom to be creative.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're lucky because all our clients are lovely. We don't have horrible clients.
How did it come about that you came across Drop the Mask Productions?
Well, through Greg.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I'd got to a stage in my life. I've got multiple sclerosis, and I took a lot of time out to try and... I did a lot of research around multiple sclerosis, and so that I could manage it the best way that I could. Because I was diagnosed in 2001, and really it didn't have a noticeable effect on my life until must have been, I'm trying to think which year now. So how long have I been here? 2 years, 7, 8, 9, probably about 9 years ago. And it's not something that everybody's familiar with. So I didn't understand it, so it was really difficult to try and explain it to anybody else. So unfortunately I went through a period of time where it was very difficult working where I was, trying to get that message across, when it was a very statistic-driven arena, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So
driven to numbers and profits rather
exactly.
than people.
Yeah. And so once I'd done all that research and I'd put things in place to try and help myself, excuse me, I then decided, right, I'm quite happy with where my life is going. I'm happy with who I am. So now I think I'd quite like to have somebody special in my life. Like my cat's wonderful. I love my cat to pieces, but it's not the same as having
sometimes you need humans, right? Yeah.
So I decided to go on a website, a dating website, which I know is not for everybody, but I just thought, well, everybody's got busy lives, haven't they? And so I just put my profile on there. I just thought I'll just see. And then I received this email from was a really witty, interesting email. I thought, yeah, I like the cut of your jib. So I contacted.
The cut of your jib?
Yes.
That's not something I've heard before.
So I contacted them. We met up. Yeah, and that was the end of it. But the person,
that was the end of it.
Well, no,
Nothing further.
That was the beginning. Sorry, I should say that was the end of the having my profile on the dating website. But the beginning of my new journey. And the person that I met obviously was Greg. And he set up Drop the Mask Productions. Saw how my work at that time was, how it was affecting me, and he could see. I didn't think there was really anything wrong with it, but looking at it through his eyes, I could see that it wasn't ideal. But as I say, I didn't realise that that there was anything else. So of course he was like, you need to not be doing this. You need to come and work for me.
Okay. So what sorts of things was Greg noticing that he obviously felt uncomfortable about because he cares about you?
It was all the things that I thought were just normal and didn't really think anything of it. So say for example, it would be it was just before COVID as well. So people were working from home, including myself. And I was really chuffed to bits with this idea that I had. So I'm in my little 1-bedroom flat and there isn't much room. And I had this massive wardrobe. So in one side of it, I had kind of like occasion wear and coats and stuff. And then in the other side, I thought it would be a really good idea to bring the shelf down so it was like desk level. And then I had my computer, my keyboard, all my office stuff in there. So at the end of the day, I just shut the door.
Okay.
So I could just close the door on that side and then it was back to my living room again. And I loved it. But the system that the organisation had was that you would need to log on by the start of your shift, which is fair enough, really. Yeah. So I'd log on by the start of my shift. If you had a break, you would need to put yourself into a break status so they could see how long you'd had. You're only allowed a certain percentage. But I have to say that I was given reasonable adjustment. So I was given an extra percentage for my break time. So they really did try and support me. And the same for lunch. And then you would sign off either exactly on or just after, depending on what you were doing. Obviously, if you're in the middle of something, you normally see it to the end and then sign off. And I was absolutely fine with that. But Greg, I suppose he could see in me a lot more than I could see in me.
Yeah, it's objective.
And wanted to set me free so that I could be creative. Because I wouldn't have been, I never would have dreamed that I would have been creating animation. Or doing voiceovers, or doing a vlog.
But how were you feeling when you were doing that job and you were working at home? I mean, were you working for the same company prior to that? So this was just the sort of the COVID requirements.
Yeah, I mean, I'd been working for that company for 12 years by the time I came away from there. And
in that 12 years, was that the period that you became a little more aware that you were affected by MS? Yeah,
because I was a trainer, so I was with the training team, and that and I'm still doing some training now. So I just loved helping people, and I think that's why I liked the customer service side of the industry as well, because I could talk to people on the phone and try and build up that rapport, and I loved. I suppose you could call me a people pleaser, really. I used to like to make people happy, make them laugh. There's nothing nicer than making somebody laugh.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but so now, see, whereas my MS started to really affect me in that role, I was moved from the training team to it wasn't customer facing. I didn't speak to customers in this particular team, or not very often. I didn't. If I did, then it would be complaints, and I like a good complaint, because they're the best ones to get that turnaround on, so that you make people really happy. But it used to be kind of like a helpline, and it was helping advisors with queries to do with an online profile, say. So trying to manage their energy online, sort of thing. I'll give you a bit of a clue there.
But I mean, if you were taking out, exactly. It sounds like you were taking out of the training something that you really, really enjoyed. You felt confident doing, because you could see people making that change, and that positive change, because training and learning, it can be extremely positive. And then put in a situation where it's complaints, but you've turned it around to be a positive, which is a massive skill that a lot of people struggle with. But how did that sort of really affect you? Like, I mean, clearly that's, you're kind of like, well, yeah, okay, you're making that, you're turning positives out of negatives.
Yeah, I just accepted it. And to be honest, I didn't think I'd ever be training ever again, because it is tiring. And I know that my condition is progressive, and I have noticed that I'm getting more and more tired, and I've started to fall over now as well, and that's the strangest thing in the world. Oh my goodness, because you'd end up standing up, and then all of a sudden you find yourself here.
Tipping, like,
what am I doing here? But you're in the angle is such as you can't recover from it. The only thing you can do is carry on falling to the ground. But it's where your nerves like haven't noticed that you've lost your balance, and the signal doesn't actually get to your brain to say, hey, you're falling over, until it's too late. So I have to be so careful now.
I love how you're laughing about this.
It's funny.
My body just is in this position, and all of a sudden it's not, and you're just laughing really about it.
Because you're like, oh no, I'm here again. Here we go again.
How is it you're so positive about this?
And you just have to get on with it. But I just have to then think, right, okay, this is going to happen. I need to recognise that I need to be more careful when I'm standing, that I've got a stable position. Don't stand on one leg, for example, unless you've got something you can grab hold of. But I have noticed that when I do find myself falling backwards, and it's always on my back, my neck automatically pulls itself up. Which has been brilliant. So I haven't actually hit my head on anything. It's just been my back that's taken the full impact. But it's been a bath and a hard floor in both instances. But, you live and learn, as they say.
I imagine Greg's looking out for you.
He does. Yeah, he does.
He's good like that, isn't he?
Yeah.
How's it been, like, meeting Greg? And, like, I know Greg, and him obviously from a different perspective. How's that been? Because we know that he has neurodiverse conditions, and you haven't identified any neurodiverse conditions of your own. How has that been for you, as someone that's labelled as neurotypical?
It's been hard.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Because, I mean, you're a really positive person. I'm dying to know how, without going into great detail of your relationship. It has been hard.
Because I didn't realise that neurodiversity existed. I'd heard of people having autism. I've now heard of ADHD, dyslexia. But you see, when I was at school, none of that was ever recognised, let alone identified. I don't know. But no, the way Greg's brain works is different from my own, and I didn't understand that at all. So, for example, I'll say something to Greg, and he won't hear me or even realise that I'm there, maybe. And I now know that is because some people who are neurodiverse, they will have a hyper focus on a particular interest. So he might be hyper focused on something, so it's almost like he's in this tunnel. So then he might not even hear me. So I might have to just sort of like touch him on the arm or just move his face slightly just to say, can I, ask you something for a minute, or can I? But I have to make sure that it's important enough to disturb him, because otherwise it makes it tiring for him, because then he's got to come all the way out of that tunnel to speak to me. Comes out of that tunnel into another tunnel to speak to me, and then back out of that tunnel, back into another tunnel to go back to his focus on his interest. And I'm a bit of a hover. Have you ever done that thing where you used to say to your Mom?
Yeah.
And then they go, what? And you go, nothing.
Yeah. One thing is really interesting.
So I have to not do that.
You bring this up because you said you make the physical connection to the person to get their attention.
Yeah.
And I remember doing a parenting course once in a school some years ago, and they said when you're going through this, that you're having a conversation with another adult. There is a child who wants your attention. Try and teach them to just put their hand on your arm if they know. Sorry, my hands are cold. If they know what they have to say to you is important and they want to interrupt you immediately, like it won't be there's a fire. It'll be, can I have a biscuit? But for that child, obviously, it's really important. And I remember teaching that to my 2 children who are neurodiverse as well. And it works wonders. My daughter still does it. She still does this to me. And it's really, really, it makes that connection, doesn't it? It really, it's because rather than just hearing something or seeing something, you're also feeling it. And it's so astute of you to be able to say, I know that he's in it. How important, what I've got to say, how important is that?
Is it important
and
enough
assessing
to
the situation, is it
him?
important enough to disturb him? And then you've got to consider your own energy levels and your own ability to okay, well, I've got to remember that.
I'll write it down.
Or write it down, or post-it note, or send a message.
Don't stick it on his head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if only that would work for everybody. Have you, since meeting Greg and other people on the team, have you met other people with neurodiverse conditions who you kind of just think, I wouldn't have thought that, or wouldn't have even known,
crossed my mind. No. But I am starting to think about people's personalities and the little idiosyncrasies of their personalities, and thinking, I wonder if that's. But then I don't know, because I really hate putting labels on people. So to me, somebody's somebody. They're this person. They're themselves, rather than you've got this, you've got that, you suffer from, which I hate because it's not a suffering, it's a natural thing. No, it's just, I don't know how to explain it. I'm explaining it really badly. It makes me smile when I think of a particular person's personality, and then I think, you're very different from me because you're neurodiverse and your brain works differently from me, and it almost makes you a bit more understanding of that person.
Right, yeah.
That sounds horribly patronising.
No, it doesn't. No, I mean, I agree with you. And I think the important term is neurodiverse, because that can encompass anything. Anywhere on the spectrum of autism, any form of ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, any kind of even acquired neurodiversity as well through trauma. And I think it's really important that people just, if you're going to use a label, for me personally, I prefer neurodiverse. Yeah, I can say, if you want to ask more questions, you want to know more about what my neurodiversity looks like, sure, let's have a conversation about that. But ultimately, you were then just seen as a human with a neurodiverse condition. And that neurodiversity purely means what you've said. Your brain is wired differently. You access information, people, places, things. Senses are different. And that's okay. Some people struggle with that a lot, and just as you've alluded to with, physical, difficulties that you have with MS, and that being progressive as well. I think it's the same with neurodiverse conditions, I feel, especially I can talk from my perspective. The older I get, the harder some things are that it becomes a lot more difficult.
And it's not like you go around with a big old light bulb at the top of your head going,
no,
I'm neurodiverse or I've got MS. You can't.
No.
You can't immediately see it, can you?
No.
And people are judgmental. I think everybody's judgmental.
There's quite a
few
different thoughts around it, isn't there? Because I often get like if I say anything along those lines, like, oh, I have autism, I have ADHD, XYZ, I've heard people say, oh, you don't look autistic. I almost feel like saying, well,
what does a lot?
Do I smell autistic? Like? Can we? Can you smell autism? Like, it almost seems to be in this day and age where we are in society, cooler to have ADHD.
Oh, really?
This is the feedback I'm getting from society, which is really interesting. Or people say, oh, well, if you have autism, you must be extremely intelligent, or you're very good at math. The male profile of autism and, stuff like that. It's just, or there's the other extreme of people going, well, you have dyslexia, that's not a disability. It's like, well, who are you as a person, general person, to judge that? It's like saying to someone in a wheelchair, you don't have a disability.
Yeah, I know.
Or everyone's a bit autistic, or it's like, well, no, they're not. Sorry. We might all be quirky, or we might all have little traits of these neurodiverse conditions, but we're not all a little bit autistic. Why come back to that? Because that really, really bothers me as well. It's like saying we're all a little bit pregnant because we all have a reproductive system. Either you are or you're not. That's fairly clear.
Yeah, I like that.
It's interesting. I want to really explore that like the title of the podcast being NeuroBridges, between yourself, neurotypical people, and neurodiverse people. How we can bring together the differences there, the challenges that we experience. And everyone experiences challenges, but I think if you have like a physical condition, a mental health condition, and you have a neurodiverse condition, you're much more likely to have more struggles in a workplace and education and society and life in general than you are if you have just one of those.
Unless you've got somebody that actually understands you.
Unless you've got the support, unless you've got the help, unless you've got a workplace to go to that don't just signpost you and say, oh, yes, we follow these procedures and policies and you'll be fine. Just come to me if you need anything. Tell me what you need. Well, I don't know what I need. I don't need that. It's tricky, isn't it?
Because something else I set up for Drop the Mask was kind of like a little how are you meeting. And just to make it clear to everybody that if you need anything, the door's open. Well, we don't have any closed doors actually. We're in a shared building and we don't close the door. Apart from when we've got meetings that's on Zoom, we might have to shut the door.
Or recording.
Other than that, we're recording. But and of course the other thing is compassionate cuppa, which I know you've spoken to Greg about. Wonderful Ling. So if anybody needs anything, they want to talk to somebody who is kind of separate from Drop the Mask, they can ring her and have a little chat. And she's not just there for the times when you sort of hit a medical health crisis point. She's there for you could just ring her to just to catch up with her. Just to make sure that you're kind of on the right track, so to speak, with your mental health.
Yeah, it's brilliant that availability is there. You're not just signposted to some
random stranger,
random person that you can't make a connection with, a regular connection.
Yeah.
It is about connection and communication, isn't it? To have that help and that support. How do you find the work environment here at Drop the Mask compared to working at home out of a wardrobe or cloakroom to previous work environments where they're very goal-oriented, profit-driven?
When I was working I used to call it Narnia because it was in the wardrobe.
Love that.
So when I used to work in Narnia, I suppose it was just kind of existing because you're just clock watching, just concentrating on the job in hand and clock watching. And then working in the public sector or private sector offices, there were processes and procedures that you needed to follow, and there was a set hierarchy that you needed to follow. So it was very controlled, and I say that compared with Drop the Mask, it was very controlled. I didn't feel like I was being controlled when I was in that arena, but I had nothing else to compare it with. I didn't know any different, and I've been working since the age of 17, and I'm now nearly 55. I'll be 55 next week. Now getting letters about my pension, which is what I was doing this morning.
Scary, isn't it?
Yeah, really.
Start sending
really
you that at
55. So, yes, I had an appointment with PensionWise this morning. I can recommend PensionWise, they're brilliant. It's government. It is a government. PensionWise is a government, because I nearly said other places that are available. But no, it's through the government funded, I should say. But no, working for Drop the Mask, you're trusted. That's the big difference, I think. With the other areas, there was no 100% trust. If you were going to be trusted, you would need to earn it, which was all fair enough. Again, that's to be expected. But with us, we kind of give the trust in the first place. It works the other way around. So you're 100% trusted until you prove me otherwise. Yeah. And then we need to sit down and have a conversation to see, what's happening. What can we do to make this situation better for both parties.
It's almost like that belief in humanity, that reverse hierarchy of, I trust that you are an adult and you can get yourself here and stick to what you said that you're going to do and follow through with it, isn't it?
Well, it's almost like getting everybody to sing from the same song sheet. And if you all love that song, you all want to sing it. Yeah. If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. No, I think I know what you're saying. Yeah, but it's like for me, coming in and just seeing a completely different environment where you can dress however you like. It's casual. It's not like, only Fridays you wear casual clothing. You go to client meetings, you meet with a lot of clients and no one's suited up and booted. You are who you are. And I think that authenticity is massive. So authenticity in the communication, the ability to actually be who you are, which is something that's very, very difficult to find in a work environment. Like I get that feeling, like I've said to Greg and to you, it feels like another family almost when you come in, and I look forward to coming in now. Not that I never did. I say now. It's not like it never happened. But you always there's that anticipatory anxiety in the beginning where you think,
fear of the unknown.
What am I doing? I'm spare here. I'm not quite sure no one's telling me what to do. I haven't got a job description. There's nothing. It is simply, what is it you want to do? Yeah, okay, go do it. How? I need to be spoon fed.
Well, if we do have somebody that is like that and they do need direction, because I'm a little bit more like that. I quite like to have a plan. I usually write my own plan, and then things will get added in. So I do like to have a plan, but normally our job descriptions will be like the big picture, if that makes any sense, so that people are free then to add the detail that they're comfortable with. They kind of they use their own creativity almost to to come up with their own processes and procedures, you know, and we would just, you know, if it's not working, then we might need to have like a team discussion about it all, you know, so that it is. But again, everything is done so that all parties concerned are happy, because you've got to be. And you're at work for the majority of your life, really, aren't you? So you've got to be happy.
Yeah, definitely. It is massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I think there is a lot of fear when you're in a workplace that's not suited, or you don't feel there's any substance to what you're doing. There's that fear of, well, if I leave that, what next? I'm just going to move straight into something that's very similar. It's going to be new and wonderful in the beginning, and then it's going to be, same old again. There's that hierarchy. There's always that demand for goals to be met, for money to be made, and Drop the Mask just doesn't have that. I'm still getting my head around it. So I'm like meeting all of you guys going, okay, so give me some more information. There must be a catch. There has to. I'm a very cynical person. I'm like,
well, we have to make money so that we can all afford to put a roof over our heads and eat, but it doesn't need to be astronomical.
No.
And any money that the company does make will go back into future projects to help in the community.
What's been one of the most favourite projects you've worked on?
Oh my goodness, it's got to be Great Oaks College. We collaborate a lot with other companies within our sector. Film Crew for You, CIC, we collaborated with at Great Oaks College, and it involved getting the children in front of a green screen and being filmed, and what they did was they chose their favourite characters. So, for example, one of the girls wanted to be Mary Poppins, so she stood in front of the green screen and handed her an umbrella. She stood there just like this. And then what Film Crew for You were able to do was actually then place her as if she was flying, and it was just amazing. Yeah, and then of course we'd edit it, and then we say the royal we. And then it would be that all the children would be presented to them at the next session, and they'd be so excited. Okay, somebody else wanted to be with Paddington. There was somebody who wanted to be Weatherman, so we put like a weather map behind him, and he was being the Weatherman. And honestly, that it's been incredible. And one of the students is still working with Film Crew for You, and they come into, I think they were downstairs actually in our building, and they're still carrying on with I think it's stop motion animation that she's doing. So she's carried on with it, nice. For a little while. But it's been amazing, and the outcomes that we got from that particular project. Yeah, it's been amazing. And the kids, they on our last session, all they were worried about was bringing food and things in so that they could give us a party to say thank you. Oh, honestly, it was just so nice.
So you talk of outcomes. What do you mean by that?
Social outcomes. Okay. So it's really important to actually recognise the outcomes from any project that we've been involved with. And we've got another CIC that we collaborate with, Owl Excel, and they're brilliant at helping us to capture all the good that's come from a project, all the benefits. How has that impacted the lives of everyone that's been involved in that project? And then she can create a lovely report to display it all. And of course because in our sector it's funding is really important, we can then say to a potential funding source or funder, this is what we would like to do. We'd like to replicate this somewhere else. This is the benefit of that money, or this will be the benefit of your money if you invest.
So it's like a template. Yeah. A template for how you're benefiting the community, people within it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously, if it's almost like getting really intensive feedback. If you get some feedback that says this isn't working, and constructive feedback, you want that so that you can then change that going forward.
Exactly, and you can just learn and grow from it and expand.
Yeah.
I have to agree. Feedback's one of the best things you can get.
100%.
Yeah, that way you know where you are. You've got the guidelines almost, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got the rule book. You're like, okay, I know. Now I know.
Yeah.
And you can work with that.
Yeah, because I'm gathering quite a lot of feedback. We've got people from Eastleigh College.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the work experience.
Yeah, but we've had they're just here for a week.
Yeah.
Because there were lots of students that wanted to have some work experience with an IT and media company. Unfortunately, they were really struggling to find placement. So. It was coming towards the end of the time when they really needed to sort these out. So we said, right, okay, we'll take everybody. So what we've had to do is we've got people will come in pairs for their work experience, and they'll stay for a week. And I think we've got about 17 students that we're taking through this. But what we're also doing is it's like I want to call it soft skills almost. It's a program that where we get them to think about things like verbal communication, written communication, team building, how are you looking after your health, all this kind of stuff. And then they will grade themselves on a 1 to 10 as to how they feel they are at that point. And then at the end of the week, I sit with them and go through the scores again to see if it's changed. And it creates a nice little bar chart for them so they can see it. And also I collect feedback from them as to how they found the experience and how we could improve it. So that's been really good.
And so the social outcomes on that alone would be because you're getting 2 a week. Yeah, that's great.
So that's got to be a close second to the Great Oaks.
Involved in education, training again.
Coming
back to that,
your
passion.
Because I'm collaborating with another company to deliver. It's part of the Change, Grow, Live program. So I've been collaborating with another trainer, and we started a session Tuesday just gone, all about budgeting. And this coming Tuesday, I'm going to be doing energy efficiency advice. And it's all to do with like, okay, now we've sorted out your budget, how can we start to sort of be a bit more savvy with our spending? So energy efficiency, there's quite a few things you can do for not a lot of outlay. So that's what we're doing Tuesday.
About that.
Yeah,
especially at the moment.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But so I love it.
So you're sticking around for a while then?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What would you like, just to finalise it really, what would you like to see different out there in society outside of Drop the Mask to make it easier for the community?
I would love everybody to have an understanding of neurodiversity. That needs to be more prominent so that people can understand. That I think people need to understand that not everybody's the same, but they need to take it a step further because the biology isn't the same either. The way that the brain works is different, which I didn't know that at all. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
So if we could start at least to get that kind of recognition, then people might then be able to go, actually, yeah, but maybe we're not doing this the right way. All these policies and procedures and all these rules and all these stipulations and fencing people in, and we need to think about this.
Deadlines.
Yeah, because people sometimes need to have that freedom to be able to let the creativity flow. I've seen that. I've seen that here
firsthand. Yeah,
yeah, I have. Yeah, yeah. It's amazing.
Yay! Thanks, Debbie.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, it's been brilliant to talk to you.
Yeah,
and keep up the good work.
we will.
Yeah, it's so great to have your laughter around as well. You're joking and you're singing and your jingles.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to episode 2 of our podcast. Please follow, share and tune in for our next podcast. You can follow DTMP on socials. Instagram, drop_the_mask_productions. Facebook, drop_the_mask_productions CIC. And of course our website, www.dropthemask.co.uk.